idea. But my understanding of the technology is that it works this way. So if we're in, and you can use the example of whatever the latest disaster is, Puerto Rico, how could this conceivably work? And maybe they go, oh, well, we were thinking about that phones would have a chip that connect to satellites now. Oh, okay, I can work with that. Now I can write a program that says, hey, how could we do these type of things? So you don't sit it there in your head, you might be going, that's stupid. But that's not how you phrase it, because what you didn't have was all the information. Or to ask the other person what's going on. Now the other problem is that our cell tower can't handle stuff. We've talked about this. If there is a disaster and we have power in cell towers, they cannot handle the load. There are too many people with devices for what's going on. You're never going to get through. Your text messages are more apt to get through. Why? Why would text messages have more of a chance to get through the system versus a voice?
Well, only one smaller piece of data has.
Small piece of data. You guys have learned about this stuff now. What's the other thing I can do with a text message?
Send it whenever.
I can send it whenever. I can store it on the server until I can get enough bandwidth to shove it out. Voice is our quality of service, our higher priority, and that's a little bit of a problem, isn't it? I can't just store it for later. I have to really send it out. Hey, guess what? You guys have learned something this semester so far.
How does the voice on the phone work exactly?
Same way as any other data. It's all zeros and ones. The only difference
They send
is...
packets then for the voice?
Yes. So it's no different than I'm talking to you right now. Am I talking to you? No. We have the interpreter who is taking and converting me to zeros and ones so that you can then get it on the other side.
But the phone doesn't store voice, correct?
Nope. What gets stored? Data. My Google Voice gives me a voicemail. What is it? Zeros and ones. And then Google Voice is very helpful. And it tries to translate that data. I do enjoy when it does that translation, because sometimes I look at the messages and go, tip the phone like it's going to make more sense sideways. It's able to take the data and analyze it. Data is zeros and ones. The difference is that when we do voice, I have to have your attention versus just leaving you a note on the table. You'll get it. Our TCP versus UDP. I have to have your attention.
Oh, yeah.
I have to have quality of service, that I must be able to hear you now. Versus the text message of, I throw it out and it'll get there or not. Does that work?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So yes, you guys shall not do that type of message, please. Kinda doesn't work. The things I run into. I'm hoping that none of my former students actually wrote that code. All right. So we got that. So we did that. Homework 1, I completely graded and gave back to you. I can tell you right now, for many of you, taking notes would be a good thing. Some of you decided to play copy and paste from the internet. I was nice this time and chose the lowest common denominator and just took off that you got 0 points for that question. There was no reason for that. We went over that homework completely here. We went and gave the answers to each other. All you had to do was write them down. So taking notes is kind of a good thing. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. We've got another week before an exam, week and a half, I believe. Let's see, week and a half. Please. All right, so everybody's awake today, right? We're good? Everybody's alive? Do I have to have jumping jacks done? No? More coffee? Everybody brought coffee in? There we go. All right, so we were talking about IPv4. I lost him. What did I do?
He's just going to get water and he'll be back.
All right, so we talked about IPv4. We were talking about it's our communication, right? That lets us get out to outside networks. Because we don't want to talk to just each other forever. That'd be boring. We'd run out of new stuff to talk about. Instead, level. I'm working on the internal network. So it's able to go, I can pass the information around. It's only if I try to go out that it goes, you can send out all you want. I just don't feel like it. The funny part of it is that it's also doing it where it goes, hey, you know how I've been ignoring you and I haven't been letting the packets back? Well, I've decided to just let you through now and I'm going to stop her. It's driving ITS crazy right now. They've been trying to fix it for an entire day and it's just like, yeah. They had Cisco on the phone and Cisco went, well, look, we can see the packets now, so it's fixed. And the person was very nice. They went, I appreciate what you have to say, but that would be an incorrect statement. I've got computers that are still going. So we got to talk about this. We got to talk about how we're going with stuff around and about. So we talked about switches, that they use the MAC address, that's very unique, but that doesn't let me get around the world. It doesn't let me get to China, it doesn't let me get to Japan, it doesn't let me do any of these type of things. And we kind of need that. So we have used what's called IP, the Internet Protocol. There are two versions, IPv4 and IPv6. 4 is what you're used to that we're still using in the US here. It uses octets. 129.21.29.3. What do you use in your home usually for an IP address? 192.168. Either a 0 or a 1. Whatever. Okay. This is considered a private IP address. You use 192.168 at home. I use 192.168 at home. By gentleman's agreement, our router goes, that traffic shall not be allowed out on the internet. It's valid, but we won't allow it to go out. At that point, we change to a public one. So where does this come from? Excuse me, you're hogging. All right, 129.21.29.3, octets. Each one of these can be 8 bits. So 129. Everybody remember your binary math? Computers, look at it go, oh, please don't do this to us. Yes, I am. Zeros and ones, right? 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. I did it. If I add all of those numbers up, the maximum number that this can be is, does anybody know without doing the math? 255. So 255, 255, 255, 255. So how do I get 129? 1 for 128. 10001. Because everything's zeros and ones. But can you remember this? No. We use that. Do we even use that? No, then we had DNS in to go, I'm going to go to Google. Thank you. How many of you know more than 3 phone numbers by heart? Hey, not too bad for some of you. What if I said 5? What about the rest of you? How come you don't? My phone remembers. My phone remembers. We've got programs now that you guys created that I just go, even in my truck, I go, call mom. Calling your mom on cell. Thank you. Now, when I was growing up, I had probably 20, 30 phone numbers memorized. Some I had to go over to the phone and use muscle memory. But we had that. But now we're kind of like, I looked at my husband and said, what's your Google Voice number? He goes, I don't know. I got to look it up. You don't know your own phone number for our business? He goes, I don't call myself, really. And we have these games. You've done it, and I know you have. Do you know your mom's phone number right now?
I know the home phone. That's it.
You just do, Mom.
Yeah.
Now there's a study that says, oh,
Yeah, for the IP address, is that personalized? Like for example, like the 1432, does that mean, does 14 focus on like specifically New York State? And then 321 is specifically Rochester?
Oh, no.
And then,
Mm-mm. It's not like phone numbers at all. And we'll talk about
IP
that in a minute.
addresses, yeah, okay.
Yeah. In fact, when it comes to phone numbers, we also ran out of phone numbers because of density and population. And they've actually done, down in Yates County, which is a little south of us, they used to be like 315 XXX and the phone number. And that used to be 315-383 was Penn Yan area. Now they've actually added another 3 set of digits down there. So instead of being 3610, yes, I count on my fingers. Now it's 12. There you go. And it used to be, as you said, with phone numbers, that you knew if someone was using a 716 area code, that was Buffalo type area. 585 was Rochester. Now that's not true anymore, because now we all have cell phones where it's just pretty much, what number would you like? When I picked my phone number, I could have picked anywheres in the world. Well, okay, not in the world, but in the country.
You know what's funny is Maine, as a whole state, has only one area code still. One. 207.
I would have expected New Hampshire to be that.
Really? I'm sure that, I bet
They're
they
small.
are too. But Maine, that's crazy.
But it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody blinks anymore and just asks for the area code. You don't just ask for the basic phone number, we just ask people for the area code and plug that all in too. So IPs don't work in that way. We will talk about that in a few minutes, where we're going to talk about that, so I'm going to ask you to hold the rest of that question for just a little bit longer.
Okay.
All right, so that's IPv4, pinggoogle.com. Okay, enter, there we go. And it goes, hey, I remember Google. Am I going to remember 172.217.714? Yeah. And it might not, and depending on which part of the country I'm in, does Google have just one server? No. I am not going to try to remember all this. I like google.com. So DNS takes and translates back and forth. So if I said, who is oh, I don't have it installed in here, fine. There's a command who is that would let me see who has that IP address, and it would translate it back and go, Google owns it. You can do the same thing with phone numbers. You can go out to the internet and you can type in the phone number, and a lot of times it'll tell you at least that it belongs to Verizon or it belongs to AT&T, or, yeah, this is a spam number, don't answer that phone. So we've got those different things. All right. Slide, there we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have to have gateways. Gateways are just kind of important. What are the advantages to IPv4? It's flexible. It allows us to do network address translation. Well, what the heck is network address translation? NAT says, it says, I want to keep these people private, that no one shall access them. What is an example of an IP address that uses NAT? You all are using it at home. 192. Is it a valid IP address? Yes. Can I use it in my home network? Yes. But does it go out on the network? No. What happens is network address translation changes it into whatever one Spectrum has given me, and I don't care. It's easier to configure and troubleshoot. A lot easier to do 129.21.29.3 than it is to do IPv6. Because my eyes are getting older and it's real easy to transpose numbers and digits and everything else. All right. The other thing I can troubleshoot is if I saw an IP address of, starting with 169, I know for a fact that you didn't get DHCP and you didn't get networking, because 169 is what Microsoft will give you when you can't get an IP address. Still a valid IP address, just no gateway, not getting out anywhere. I can only talk to other 169s. So if I get a 169, what's it tell me? I get a 169 IP address, what's it tell me? I just did it. I didn't get an IP address, so Microsoft gave me one. Can I talk to others?
No.
If they're a 169, I can talk to them. So if you were asked this on something that's coming up in about a week and a half, we all got the answer now, right? But I, of course, would never tell you anything like that.
Like, you can only talk to other 169s on your network.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because
So
I
not
got no
like-
gateway, so
Right,
only
so if
anyone
there's like
else.
somebody, right, okay.
So if you had a 169, I got 169, you and I are the only ones that are gonna talk. The rest of them get to leave the room, you and I are staying here. And Matt's going, oh, hell no, I'm gonna get a correct IP address, one way or another. So it's a little easier to troubleshoot. So you guys are starting to work on your homework 3, right? We're starting to work on some of these different things. And now you're having to start to pay attention to some of this. Because do IP addresses, everybody stay the same? No, they're constantly moving and changing. So we shall never hard code. We all know what hard coding is, right? We put it in so that it never changes ever. Yeah, that would be wrong. We shall not do that. Okay? All right, what else have we got going on? Security and issues.
Does it change in 24 hours?
Depends on the DHCP server. You can set it to 24 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours. We haven't gone over DHCP, but I can give you the quick and dirty of it. Okay, so today is President Munson's inauguration. They need to use the parking lot. So what do they do with, we're back to my terrible drawing, so God help me. There's my parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, my house and my parking lot look exactly the same, don't they? So a person comes in, I say park there. Next person comes in, I say park there. You can have that spot for the day. Well, then you leave. That spot I said is still yours for the day, unless I have filled all of the parking lot. And then if you aren't there, I'm going to take your spot away because you didn't come back. So it's called a lease time, and it depends on the network. We actually had upstairs many years ago in the labs where we set the DHCP lease time to 24 hours. That'll be no big deal. Amber's going, you did what? Yeah, this was a while ago. Well, that shouldn't be any big deal. We got plenty of IP addresses. Well, there's 300 computers. There's all the kids with their laptops. They also pulled up virtual machines, so they needed more IP addresses. They had routers and switches they're configuring. They needed more IP addresses. And classes would change.